Tell Adnan, Jose, I'm so sick and tired. People saying he's underrated. Tell Adnan to take that out of his piece. And then the other night we were on it, and Adnan said, you said RBI. I get another text from Booney. Tell Adnan it's RBIs.
Don't you have better things to do? You're the manager of the New York Yankees. Yeah. You give a crap at us saying RBI, not RBI. That's crazy.
And I'm in love with the good life. Can't give it up. Make it to the top. Keep climbing. I wanna live it up. The good life. I'm coming up. I'm coming up. The good life. Good life. Oh, good life. Good life. Good life. Good life.
Boom, coming in hot, Chinchy. What's going on today, brother?
I love when we have friends on when you do the boom and they see it for the first time and they kind of like jack back a little bit. But like, dude, I'm so fired up for today. Just get to it, man.
Dude, this guy's one of my favorite human beings in the world. Not only a colleague of mine at MLB Network, one of the best hosts in the business. Long time ESPN, MLB Network, does a ton of stuff with NHL too. A Canadian too, and he loves that he's a Canadian. But friend of the show, one of my dear friends and our dear friends, Adnan Virk. What's up, Adnan? How you doing, brother?
Okay, it's so great to see you. So great to see Chinch. You guys are two of my favorites. I love the podcast. Love what you guys have done with the mayor's office. We know firsthand how hard it is to do a podcast and to grind it out. The fact you guys do this daily, I am in awe of your work ethic, and you guys are both an inspiration. So I'm glad I finally got the invite. And listen, as far as the great Canadians you've had in this podcast, me and Chris Rietzma, top of the list.
The Canadians, baby, the Canadians. Hey, Adnan, that's a real thing, dude. The Canadians stick together. It's really true. Like, I just saw, what's the one guy for the Brewers? He's like Henderson, I think. He's a Canadian, one of the coaches, and he's like, I saw you at the Canadian when I was with Rietzma years ago. I was like, dude, you Canadians, you guys love each other whenever they come up, right? Isn't that a thing, Adnan?
It's a great point. Arrested Development's one of my favorite TV shows ever. Will Arnett, Michael Cera are both Canadians. And when I had Michael Cera on my podcast, Cinephi, said to me, something about Canadians, we stick together. And he goes, dude, Will Arnett would joke with me anytime you'd be watching a sporting event or a TV show, and you go, Alan Thicke, Canadian. Avril Lavigne, Canadian. Like, he goes, Canadians just want to make it sure that everyone knows who the Canadians are in the room. And you're right. In baseball, like Josh Naylor, Canadian. Every time Mississauga, Ontario, I got to give him a shout out. John Axford of the Brewers, of course, Canadian. Matt Stairs, one of our all-time favorites. Like, I could go on and on. It's the best.
Dude, Dempster is one of our favorite people, and obviously Canadian. I don't think the guy has won World Series, but meeting Larry Walker the day he went to MLB Network for the Hall of Fame was like the greatest moment of Dempster's life. He said,
you're 100% right, Chinch. When I was at the Hall of Fame, I went a couple years ago just to see my buddy Tim Kirchin get inducted. So the writers get inducted on the Saturday, and of course Sunday's the Hall of Fame ceremony. But on the Saturday, we go to the hotel. And I'm not supposed to be there. And Eddie Perez is like, dude, just come to the hotel. I go, no, I think it's very exclusive. He's like, it's fine. I go to the front gate. And the guy's like, yeah. And Eddie tells me, he goes, just say Tony Perez. I go, say I'm with Tony Perez. He goes, no, just say my dad's name. I go, Tony Perez. And the guy looks at his paper and he goes, all right, go ahead. So he probably thinks I am Tony Perez. I'm just driving into the Onondaga Hotel. Anyways, they go in there, and I see Larry Walker, and I'm like, oh, my God. And we start chatting. And the first words in my mouth, hey, I'm Canadian, just want to see what's up, Maple Ridge, BC, blah, blah, blah. He's like, oh, it's great, dude. We talked. And eventually, and I never do this, Case knows this. Like, at some point, like, I've been in the business 20 years. I don't need to get a picture. I don't need to get a handshake, whatever. But I'm like, I got to get a picture. I'm like, all right, do you mind? He's like, sure. And he's a big guy. And there's like steps there, and he looks at me and he goes, why don't you go on one of the steps? It'll make it a little more fair for the picture. Like, this guy's unbelievable. Walker's burying me for the fact I'm short and he's tall and massive. I love it.
Oh, God, it's so great. That's so, dude, there's something funny about the Canadians, too. Like, you guys are the nicest people around. I don't know what it is. It's like, even all the hockey players I meet, like Sid Crosby and all the guys that I've met over the years, like down here with the Penguins, I brought him out to PNC Park to hit. Nicest guys, like Max Talbot, like these guys. I'm like, how are you guys so nice? And then I meet you, Adnan. I'm like, of course you're Canadian. You're one of the nicest dudes I've ever met. Of course you're Canadian. So seriously, is there something about the culture there where everyone's just, it seems like there's a humility about it?
No, you nailed the case. Humility is the right word for it. I think Canadians are generally self-deprecating, very down to earth. People talk about the climate. Okay, it's cold. It's not like it's like, as Dempster always jokes, it's not like I grew up in igloos. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I was hunting caribou. Like, it's a little cold, but we tell them it's okay. North Dakota is still colder than Toronto, where I grew up. But yeah, I think we're just very disarming people and welcoming to all. And I got to be honest, I got to throw it back to the Pittsburgh people as well, because I remember years ago at ESPN, Nancy Cooney, who worked in the assignment desk, said to me, she goes, "Oh, you're Canadian?" She goes, "Now I know why you're so nice. It makes all sense." She goes, "The nicest people," she goes, "I swear to God," she goes, "Canadians, Minnesotans, and Pittsburgh." And I laughed and I go, "Well, Pittsburgh's in the top 5." She goes, "Honestly," I go, I've never heard that. I've heard Minnesota nice, which John Heyman one time told me. He goes, when they say Minnesota nice, it's actually a knock. They're trying to be sarcastic and saying, "Oh yeah, Minnesota nice," meaning they're nice to your face, but they're rude behind your back. I said, "I'm not sure if that's true." He goes, "Wisconsin is actually the nicest people," which my sister-in-law is from Wisconsin. I can verify. Wisconsin is very good people. But the Canadians, Wisconsin/Minnesota, and Pittsburgh, your Yinzers would be proud.
The Yinzers, no doubt. There's a lot of good blue collar people here in Pittsburgh that are very down to earth. And dude, you just came to Pittsburgh, right? Yeah. First time at PNC Park, yeah. Clemente Museum. Tell me how you like the Yinzers. How'd you like it?
Okay, so perfect segue. I'm glad we're getting into this. So my wife and kids were gone to California, visited her family, and I said, I got time to myself. And I said, I've always wanted to go to PNC Park. I'm a huge Clemente fan. So Chinch, I asked our boy Case, and I go, "How long?" He goes, 6 hours. Are you sure? He's like, "Yeah." He goes, Micah Carg, one of the persons we work with, he goes, "Oh." He said, "It's more like 6.5. Case goes, "He's out of his mind. It's 6 hours." He goes, "You're totally fine." So whatever. I left around 10 a.m. and I said, "I'm going to go see Skeens pitch." And of course it's happening. Skeens skips a start. It's August 26th, like whatever. I'm driving to go see Mitch Keller pitch. I don't give a damn. I'm going to PNC Park. I'm driving 12 hours round trip for Mitch Keller by myself in the Escalade. I got to tell you, boys, that drive, which Case has done more than a few times, from New Jersey to Pittsburgh, that I-80 West, dude, it's a lot of hunting shops, Trump signs, and I was like, and like rifle stores. I'm like, at one point, I'm like, I might pull an RFK Jr. and just kill a bear and throw it in my trunk. That might be my dinner later tonight when I get to Pittsburgh. It is a harrowing drive to get there. Having said that, I'm telling you, for all the baseball fans, and obviously you're a baseball fan if you're watching and listening to this, that sight was glorious. It was out of a movie. I pulled up, and the GPS is telling you 2 minutes away, whatever, take a right, and I go, there it is, the Clemente Bridge. And the light was like shimmering off the Allegheny River, and the bright yellow of that bridge. I go, oh my God. And by the way, as Case said, the blue-collar people of Pittsburgh, my first thing was like, I got to park. $10 parking. Are you kidding? Are we in 1997? $10 parking. You walk the bridge. It's a 7-minute walk. I said, oh my God, heart's beating. Pictures of Clemente, the Great One statue, Willie Stargell. I said, oh my God, I'm in heaven, dude. PNC Park. And I can tell myself, I'm texting our boss, Mark Hayaff. I'm texting other friends. And I go, I always thought Camden Yards was number one. San Francisco, really good too, although it gets too cold. You got to buy a hoodie in the 5th inning. Obviously, Wrigley and Fenway are special. You played at Fenway, you know it. But I'm telling you, man, maybe it was just recency bias. PNC Park, number one. You know what? After the game, I walked the bridge again. I just walked it back and forth. The next morning, I checked out the hotel. I the hotel right there. I still walked the bridge. Amazing, dude. I was so enamored of it. And then the Warhol Bridge is like next to it. I'm like, I'll go watch the Warhol Bridge. It was awesome.
Dude, I'm so glad you liked it, because I'm serious when I say, Adnan, all the parks in the big leagues, if you ask guys what's the most beautiful park, everyone says PNC. I think they nailed it, putting it towards the city, having the river right there. And you're right, there's some great parks. I mean, Fenway Park and Wrigley Field, Camden Yard, all great parks. But there's something about PNC Park, the way they situated, I think they nailed it.
PNC is the only place, Case, I've ever been where the higher up you go, the better it is. Like with the media pass, you sit wherever you want, right? So I'm sitting like 10 rows behind the first base dugout, and I'm like, oh, it's pretty cool. Like, I'm looking, it's nice. Then I'm like, I'm going to go higher up. I went to the press box, and of course sat in seat 21 for Clemente, took a picture. I go, dude, this is insane. I wasn't sure if it was more beautiful during the day or at night. I said, the game's almost immaterial. I'm just transfixed by the bridge and the whole skyline, the downtown. It looks like a movie set. Like, I was like, this is such a Hall of Fame park. Amazing.
Yeah, no, they nailed it, man. They nailed it.
Also, Clemente Brothers I got as well, which I got to be honest with you, I'm not sure. Listen, you're lean now. You're in great shape. You're like a carnivore. French fries and coleslaw on the pastrami. I'm like, you do it once, but Chinch, it's not something I would return to. I got to be honest.
I can't fathom. I haven't done it yet. Casey makes fun of me all the time for not coming to visit him in Pittsburgh. He's visited me multiple times. Yeah. I can't conceptualize French fries on bread.
Yeah.
To me, that's the one thing I don't understand about.
Well, dude, they have to understand that Pittsburghers are real weird with their fries. So like they got this sandwich, a pimento bread sandwich. You get the double egg. Usually it's a good late night one. Usually for the college kids, like 2 a.m. Give me the double egg, cheese, extra fries. You're loading on the Tabasco sauce. But here's the weird thing. You guys can come. You're like, all right, I'm going to eat healthy today. It's lunch. Hey, give me the nice chicken Caesar salad, real nice, and a side of whatever. And on your salad, they put fries. And you look at the lady like, I'm actually trying to be healthy. I'm wondering why there's fries on my salad. Like, we just do that in Pittsburgh. We put fries and everything. Even when you try to be healthy, we just dump a boatload of fries on there.
Yeah, it's just how they do it in Pittsburgh. But I got to tell you, the next day might have been even better. Clemente Museum. I said, I've got to go see it. And I said, it was unbelievable. And like, people ask me, they go, you're 46. I was born in 78. They go, how did you become such a Clemente fan? He died in 72. It's this book. Clemente, The Passion and Grace of Baseball's Last Year.
Wow.
David Maris. I read this book. It changed my life. I said, God, this guy is such a hero. And I said, I've got to learn as much as I can about Clemente. And that museum case, $21, perfect price, of course.
Yep.
Guided tour. You got to sign up online. There's literally 21 people. It was like a bunch of Cubs fans who are from out of town, Puerto Ricans, Latinos, and me. And the guy takes us around. And it was honestly, I've been to Gettysburg. I've been to all these great museums. I'm like, Clemente Museum is one of the best museums I've ever seen in my life. And shout out to you. As we were going upstairs, they show us this one suit that Javi Baez wore Clemente's suit to the red carpet, to the All-Star game. And then they go, here's some stuff. Sean Casey uniform. I'm like, yes, Case. Dude, that whole story, it was a former fire hall in Pittsburgh. And then the guy was just like a rabid Clemente fan and had all these artifacts. And Vera, his widow, came and saw this picture. This picture, I was awestruck by it. It's a picture of Clemente in spring training, and the clouds behind him form like they're angel wings. And she goes, oh, my God. She goes, that's an incredible picture of my husband. You got to turn this into a museum. The artifacts, the pictures, the stories, I can't recommend it enough.
Yeah, Dwayne Reeder, the guy that runs it, is a good friend of ours. And shout out to, we had Dwayne. We did a whole, about a year ago, I went down to the Clemente Museum. We did the mayor's office from the Clemente Museum with Dwayne giving us the tour and everything like that. It was incredible. And if you come to Pittsburgh, anyone out there listening, if you come to Pittsburgh, if you don't go to Clemente Museum, you missed it.
Yeah.
You missed it. Yeah. Even if you're not a Clemente fan, you will be after you go to this museum and see what a humanitarian he was, what a great player he was, how many people revered him. And I think, Adnan, speaking on all the Latino players there, that I think, they're pushing to get 21 retired at some point. I think, that might be something that happens. But that museum, man, I'm so glad that you came to Pittsburgh and made sure that you made it to the Clemente Museum. Dwayne Reeder's done a great job there.
Without question. So PNC Park knocked it out of the park. Clemente Museum was awesome. The only downside, now Chinch knows I might as well be part Italian with my affection for Scorsese, De Niro, Pacino, Italian food, Monica Bellucci, etc. I said, where's the Little Italy? So I go, okay, they go Bloomfield or whatever that's called, Pittsburgh. There's something, it's like near the Clemente Museum. I go, great. And I take a picture walking to Pittsburgh's Little Italy. This is like a Monday at noon. And it's half of the stores are closed. I go, what do we do? I go, this is unbelievable. What, the Italians are only eating dinner now in Pittsburgh? What is happening here? I go, where can I get a cannoli? Where can I get some prosciutto? They go, no, shut down. Little Italy only available during the hours of 4 and 9 p.m. That's an exclusive restaurant. I'm sorry, we're only available between the hours of 4 and 9 p.m. I go, this is brutal. But I did take a picture. I texted to you, Yin's Coffee. That was my favorite thing. Yin's Coffee. I go, yes, I'm in Pittsburgh.
Dude, Pittsburgh, we're like the Canadians, though, dude. We love our own. I remember, seeing guys in the big leagues like Kurt Liskanek and these guys are like, dude, you're a Yinzer? I love you, bro. I'm going to try and hit a rocket off you in the game, but off the field, you're a Yinzer. We're in this together. You know what I mean? We stick together.
I love the Kurt Liskanek reference. I remember the signs. Don't panic. We've got Liskanek.
So great, man. So great. Adnan, I want to get into a little baseball. Sure. Wait. First off, before I get into a little baseball, because we're sticking on some good stuff here, I want to go back to your podcast really quick, Cinephile, which you've done over the last 8 years, I believe, or for a long time, 300 plus episodes. Mm-hmm. And I want to ask, first off, what was your favorite episode? Sure. And second off, I know that one of your episodes you had Robert De Niro on. Is that true?
Yeah, 333 episodes over 8 years, unbelievable run. And, in case people know that our personas are one thing, but we always have other passions. And, of course, I love baseball. I love sports. We always love movies. So it was a really nice outlet that I did. And as you know in this business, if you tell someone you'll do it for free, sure, no problem. So I did it for free at ESPN. And then Cadence 13, I was a podcast company. They were very gracious enough. And then Meadowlark, my buddy Dan Levitard is the best. He said, you can come to the podcast with me. So I've been thrilled to do it. It's been a ton of fun. But the best one ever was, of course, Robert De Niro. And I was actually at the Little League World Series in Williamsport, speaking of the I-80. And they said, De Niro's coming to promote a movie called Hands of Stone, boxing movie. It's about Roberto Duran, no mas. De Niro played one of the trainers. Movie wasn't great, by the way, but whatever. They said, he's coming to ESPN. I said, oh my God, I'll give up a limb to get him. Like, okay. So I had to leave Williamsport Sunday night. I brought my wife at the time, 2 boys. And I remember one of the bosses, he spends, where are you going? I go, I'm going to go interview Robert De Niro. Like, if you excuse me, I went up to a moment. That I think it's about a 4.5-hour drive back to Bristol, Connecticut. It's all I'm thinking, what do I say? What do I do? And the most important thing, and I asked our friend Tim Kirchin, I said, Timmy, here's the most important thing. He said, yeah. I go, once we're in the interview, like, I'm good. Like, I've seen Raging Bull and Goodfellas and Taxi Driver and all that stuff. I said, I'm curious about the introduction. The key is the opening. I got to get him early. He said, yeah. I said, he goes, what's the issue? I said, nobody calls him Robert. Like, I've never heard anyone call him Robert. They all call him Bob. He's like, yeah. I said, but I don't know if I call him Bob. Like, I think maybe it's just Mr. De Niro. But then that seems a little bit awkward. And Tim goes, Kirchin goes, what you do is you ask him, say, can I call you Bob? He goes, ask him permission. And he says, sure, you go for it. I go, okay. So day of, my wife probably loves De Niro too. So she's like, no, I'm coming. I go, all right, we're there. We're going coming. Case, when he turned the corner to walk into the radio studio, it was like a surprise party. Like, we almost like ducked. Like, oh, get down, here he is. Oh my God, he's here. De Niro's here. And he walks in, and not much bigger than me, which was, I'm 5'8", and he's like, basically my height. Big smile on his face, like just an avuncular, kind human. Couple guys with him, sits down. The big thing about De Niro is he's very famously shy. But once I said to him, like, no cameras, there's just a pocket. He's like, oh, you can almost see, like, he just loosened up a little bit. Like, oh, no cameras, no video? I'm like, no. And right out of the gate, I introduced him, and he can tell, like, I'm tripping over myself, but I'm able to get through it. And then I said, can I call you Bob? And he goes, sure. And the rest
I texted Adnan like 30 seconds after that podcast dropped, and I go, you just nailed it by calling him Bob. Did I not text you? Yeah. That was unreal. Yeah. It was a great podcast of an actor I've ever seen.
The way he did it, Chinch, it was like he gave that De Niro face. Like, I was just like, can I call him Bob? I was like, sure. And I'm like, okay, here we go. Like, this is being De Niro, just hanging out. But he was amazing, dude. He's such a hero of mine. I'll tell you the coolest part of it was, normally, as you know, when these interviews end, that's it. Like, Kevin Hart is really talented and really funny. He did the interview with me. I'm not kidding. 7 people in the room, and he was on his phone half the time. Now, to his credit, he answered the questions well. Like, he was, if you're asking me a question, I'm like, yeah, Millennium Museum was fantastic. Lots of great people there. It's obviously a great trip. Like, he's not even looking at me. Like, okay, well, in fairness to him, he did nail the answers. But I'm like, that's how it is sometimes. We finish, and De Niro looks at me, and he goes, Pakistan? And I said, yeah. Because in the Taxi Driver question, I said to him, I go, listen, I love Taxi Driver, even though I have no relation to New York City. My family's from Pakistan. I'm from Toronto. Like, why does this guy love this movie so much? So he says to me, he goes, Pakistan? I go, yeah. He goes, there's this great article about the Hindu Kush. It's just this tribe in northern Pakistan. And this is the only time that it hit me that I'm like, oh my God, I'm having like a real conversation with Robert De Niro. Like now, what are we going on? He's talking about, And he says, it's a really interesting article. He goes, you should read it. You'd enjoy it, your family, et cetera. And he goes, if you can't find it, let me know. That's what he said. I'm like, well, why don't you give me your cell number? We'll just text about articles you read about world geography. This is the coolest part of it. He leaves. I got to go back to Williamsport, by the way. I'm texting Kirchin. I'm like, dude, I'll be there in 4.5 hours. Let's go. How'd Team Canada do? Did we got knocked out the Little League World Series? What's happening? And I get an email, and the subject heading says, from RDN. And I pulled over. I go, RDN can only be one thing. That's Robert De Niro. And it just says, hey, Bob wanted to say he really enjoyed meeting you. Here's that article about the Hindu Kush tribe in Pakistan. He thought you would enjoy it. Thanks. And I go, that is the classiest thing I've ever seen happen in my life. Case, imagine your favorite player. You meet him one day and he goes, hey, Sean Casey, you're going to have a great career. Thanks. But then he follows up and sends you an email and goes like, hey, the fact you hit 300, like, I have great admiration for you. Like, it blew my mind.
Dude, the follow-up. De Niro followed up with you. That means after he left the interview, he actually thought about you for the next 30 minutes. Like, hey, make sure we get Adnan this article on the Hindu Kush.
That's exactly what will happen, right? He talks to Mike Greenberg, talks to Mike Golick, Ben Pelt, all these people. No. He's on took a chopper back to Manhattan from Connecticut. Hindu Kush. We got to get that guy Virk, that Hindu Kush.
Hindu Kush. Oh, man, that's what a great story, dude. And you called him Bob, and you got a follow-up email. Your life's set, dude. It's it. You can ride off into the sunset, dude.
I got to quickly tell you, I know we want to talk baseball, and I got to tell you my Pacino story, because my 2 favorites are Pacino.
Oh, yeah. Dude, keep going. We love this.
Pacino is in Connecticut, and he's doing like a meet and greet with Joy Behar from The View. And first off, I'm appalled. I'm like, with respect to Joy Behar, I'm like, how are you the authority on Al Pacino? Like, this is the best we're doing? Like, Joy Behar, one-on-one with Al Pacino? Okay, fine. But she's asking him the fine stuff. How'd you first get The Godfather? Where did Hua come from with Sensible Woman? Like, all this stuff I've heard him answer before, but it's still fun to see in front of an audience. It's all good. It'd be like you seeing Eddie Vedder answering questions about Pearl Jam. Like, I already know the answer, but it's still cool just to see Eddie in that venue, et cetera. Anyways, we're all lining up afterwards. It's $250 to meet and greet. And apparently you go in there, get a picture, whatever. The woman in front of me I'm not kidding. It's like maybe early 50s, starts like hyperventilating. I'm like, are you okay? And she goes, you just understand, like you understand what Al Pacino, like how much? I guess we all love Al Pacino. We all pay $250 to be here. Of course, we all like it. We're all on the same page here. She goes, no, like I can't. And she lifts up her pants, and it's a tattoo of Pacino and Scarface. And I'm thinking, let me lift up my shirt. I've got a Pacino tattoo from The Godfather. Michael Corleone. No, I know. Oh my God, this woman's definitely next level. She goes in. I swear, Casey, I heard her crying. Like as I'm waiting to go, and I go, how am I going to follow this? She's like crying with Al Pacino. I got to walk in next. But I walk in, and again, just like saying first names, I walk in and go, Al, good to see you. He's like, hey, how are you? I'm like, yeah. Quick picture. And then I just say to him, I go, Al, I just want to say I work at ESPN up the road here in Connecticut. You got to come see us sometime. He goes, oh, sports. I love sports. I said, yeah, I know you grew up in the Bronx. You grew up a Yankee fan. Oh, yeah, the baseball too. And he goes, and the basketball right now. Because this is in June. It's during the NBA Finals. And I go, yeah, the basketball's been great. Warriors are awesome. He goes, oh, that guy. And I go, Steph Curry. He goes, yeah. He goes, man, that guy just... And he kind of gets this look in his face. He gets that Pacino look in his eyes. He goes, that guy, he just glides. And I walked out. I go, I can't believe I just talked to Al Pacino about Steph Curry. And his response is, he just glides.
Great Pacino. You do a good Pacino.
You actually sounded like and looked like Pacino when you did that. That was really good, dude.
Amazing. Case, what's that lid you got on right there?
Dude, you kidding me? It's my favorite hat. You know me, Chinch. I'm a hat snob, dude. I really am. This is my new melon hat. I've had it for a few months now, dude. It's incredible. It's super comfortable. The one thing I love about it, too, you know, sometimes you wear hats all the time. They get those sweat stains. This hat doesn't get a sweat stain. It's got unbelievable comfort fitting. It fits perfectly with the snapback on the back. It's 5 times more durable, I think, than any other hat I've ever had. So, man, this hat's incredible. The melon hat, man. You got to get a couple of these, brother.
Yeah, dude, I've heard about them. It's like the most premium, durable headwear in like the whole world. And, you know, people use them for tailgating, working out on a golf course. You're going golfing later today, heading out for date night with Sarah. You throw the melon cap on, right? Am I right?
I wear it for everything, dude. The only thing I can't wear it to is premium restaurants where they're like, okay, you got to take your hat off. So other than that, I'm wearing my melon hat pretty much everywhere. Dude, it's my new favorite hat. I've been wearing my melon hat for the past few months straight, dude. No sweat stains, what I said, no smell. Looks the same as the day I took it out of the box. I get a ton of compliments on it every time I wear it. It's even better. They have different options for different weather. If it's warm out or it might be jumping in the pool, lake, or ocean, you need their Hydro Collection, bro. The Hydro Collection is next level, Chinch. You'd love that. But when it gets cold and you need to stay warm, don't worry, brother. Melon has you covered there as well. They have a full thermal collection with different levels of warmth to keep you on whatever you need for when the winter's coming up, brother. Big time. Nice. So if you're looking for hats as tough as you, my man, check out Melon. You won't wear anything else after you get one on for yourself. And I know I've been loving my Melon.
Yeah, listen to Sean Casey, folks. If you're looking for the world's most durable hat, look no further. Go to melon.com. That's MELIN.com and put it to the test yourself.
Yes. Oh my God, it's so great. The two legends, De Niro and Pacino, you have stories for, which is incredible, dude. Amazing. Incredible. Dude, so incredible stuff happening in baseball right now. I mean, really coming down the final stretch. Obviously, you're on MLB tonight doing your thing and kind of really locked into what's going on. But, you know, what's your take on, you know, right now, Mets, Braves, Diamondbacks kind of falling off. Can the Padres win the division against the Dodgers going head to head? You know, where's your mind at right now?
I was on with Harold and CY last night and watching those games as they develop. It's like the next 5 days are going to be wild, dude. Because as you said, I thought Padres, D-backs penciled in, Mets and Braves for final spot. No, now I think the D-backs fall out. I think both the Mets and the Braves make the playoffs. And the Braves are just a half a game back in New York. Let's start with the Mets. Frankie Lindor is unbelievable. If it wasn't for Ohtani, he'd be the MVP. Virtually 30-30, 31 home runs, 27 stolen bases. Plays stellar defense. If you look at his outs above average, he'll hit you 270, and obviously he's a great leader. Now, he goes down. The fact that Luis Angel Acuna can just step in with zero issue to me is mind-boggling. Now, he's not Ronald, but he's got star potential, man. He's got power. He's been slick fielding. Their pitching's been amazing to me. And Pedro Martinez told me in May, and I almost laughed in his face. He said, I've got Severino winning the Cy Young. And I want to be like, Pittsburgh. He
Wow.
hit over
Wow.
5 last year. Like, it was dreadful with the Yankees. And he's like, no, because he's going to be fine. And he's right. Pedro goes, I fixed him. I go, okay, humble brag. It was all Pedro. Severino, Manaya, Peterson, those guys have been awesome. And offensively, I love Vientos, Francisco Alvarez, good catcher. Like, there's a lot of mojo there with the Mets, which is awesome to see. And Buck Showalter's the only dude who has said to me, he goes, hey, why has nobody mentioned a Subway Series? I go, Buck, we got to, it's a little ways away. He goes, I'm telling you, man, the way the Mets are going right now, the Yankees favor the AL. Don't discount that right now. I go, okay. Now, the Braves, I think, are an amazing story because of what they've withstood. Like the fact that Strider's been out and Acuna's been out and Albies has been out, now back. Switch here, but he's only going to hit right-handed the rest of the way. Now, with all the injuries that they've had, like I think it's amazing they're even in this thing. So credit to Alex Anthopoulos. Sale's going to win the Cy Young, Triple Crown categories. He's been incredible. And then the D-backs, Corbin Carroll's had a much better second half. Ketel Marte is the best player nobody talks about. He's unbelievable. He should be a top 5 MVP candidate. But their pitching's really let them down, aside from Fott, who got roughed up yesterday. Rodriguez got lit up. I love Gallen. He's an Eagles fan, but that's been ugly. So, dude, it's wild right now. These last 5 days, so much can change as far as Mets, Braves, and D-backs. Go ahead, Chin.
This just popped into my head, guys, and I'll say this to both of you. Do you realize, for the first time in sports history, the Mets and the Braves, if it's a rain out and they have to play a doubleheader, may actually both be able to celebrate on the same field on Monday?
Yeah.
Think about that.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And Chinch, you're right. Matty Baker, our great researcher, is telling me this. He goes, they're calling for rain from Wednesday 2 p.m. through Friday 2 p.m. Like, this isn't like, a couple spatterings. Like, no, the next 48 hours are going to get drenched. So doubleheader Monday potentially will be wild.
Oh my gosh, that'll if it's for all the marbles, it'll be an absolute incredible atmosphere, and total playoffs. One of the things, Adnan, we were talking about, I believe we were talking when I was on with you last week. We were saying what teams are still in it in the American League, and I was saying, hey, the Tigers are in this. I think at the time they were 3 back or something like that. I don't count the Tigers; they're coming, and they're here. They've taken over now. They've taken over. And the Mariners, all of a sudden, Julio Rodriguez is hot. So they're trying to creep in too. But, what's your take on the American League wild card? Can the Twins get back in? Is Kansas City going to bop out?
Let's talk Twins first. And you know what this happens, Case. You go to spring training, you just fall in love with these guys. You talk to a couple dudes. That's how easy it is to be coerced by the media. Byron Buxton couldn't be nicer. Rocco Baldelli's the nicest guy. Royce Lewis, if I had a daughter, I'd want her to marry him. I said, Correa's a great dude, so I'm like, hey, I'm telling Jake Peavy, who are like, dude, I'm all Twins this year. And for much of the year, they were a good team in the playoff hunt, but they've completely fallen apart. Their pitching's been horrible, aside from Pablo. They can't hit right now. It's bizarre. They finally got those guys back. They're all healthy. They're all playing. They just can't score runs. So Minnesota's in real trouble. They're 2 games out. Seattle's 2.5 back, and you're right. Julio finally showed up. He's a second-half guy. I didn't realize he was a second last week of the season kind of guy. Like, now this is when he's playing well, but he's been great, but it might be too little too late. I give you full credit for the Tigers. When you said that, I give you the hairy eyeball. I gave you I said, Keith, you're out of your mind. Former Tiger. I got it. 06 World Series. He's 462. I understand. Motown, all the rest. I said, they're 3 games back. Come on. It's like in the NBA. When you're down by 15, you expend so much energy just to tie the game. Once you tie the game, you go, that's it. But not to the Tigers. Dude, you're bang on. Like, there's no way they're not going to make the playoffs right now. Like, they're in. Like, that's absolutely going to happen. And it's been a remarkable run. Since late August, they have the best record in baseball. And offensively, it's Riley Green. Obviously, Meadows has been amazing for them. I mean, what Parker Meadows has done has been awesome. Colt Keith contributing. But they're pitching. Scribbles a Cy Young Award winner. We all know that. But credit to AJ Hinch. I checked yesterday. Their relievers have thrown 60 more innings than any other team. They are bullpenning like you wouldn't believe. Like, it's not like the classic day of when you and I were going up watching baseball, like 3 or 4 starters. That's it. No, it's like 1.5 starters and then bullpen game. Just throw a ton of arms at you. We'll figure this out. Kiner Montero's been filthy. He was the American League Player of the Week last week. It's a lot of anonymous names, but the Tigers haven't made the playoffs since 2016 or 2014, I think it is. It's great to say that, as you know better than I would. It's a great baseball city. I'm thrilled with the fact they're going to be back in the playoffs and making some noise.
Dude, Adnan, first off, you must be on TV every night because that's an unbelievable recap. I'm like, man, this guy knows what he's talking about. That's why we have him on. It's incredible. But you're right, dude. When I played in Detroit and we went to the World Series in 2006, I was like, these people are blue collar. These people love the Tigers. These people love their sports. They came out. One of the coolest moments of my career, Adnan, really quick to tell you, we were playing the Yankees in Game 3, I believe, in Detroit. It's a 1-1 series. Randy Johnson's pitching. And everyone's asking, what's your coolest moment of your career? What's a moment you really remember? And there's a ton of them, right? There's a ton of them. But this moment sticks out in my career. I hit a double off Randy Johnson in the gap. I believe scored 2 runs, put us up by 3 or 4 at the time. I'm on second base. Joe Torre's now coming out to get Randy Johnson. And this is when I realized how incredible the Tiger fans were. They are on their feet, dude. It's blaring in the background. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na. Hey, they have all I can see is orange towels ripping like this. I'm on second base. I have the most incredible view. And I'm thinking to myself, I just created this pandemonium. And it couldn't be in a better city because these fans are crazy for the Tigers. Randy Johnson's getting taken out of the game. I just knocked him out. Torrey's coming in. Give me the reliever. Give me the righty. And I'm like, it was like a 10-minute moment for me where I was like, could really appreciate the city of Detroit and what it's all about. And you're right. They haven't been in the playoffs in a while. They're making the run right now. Looks like they're going to get in. I'm so fired up to see playoff baseball back in
honestly,
Detroit.
People keep talking about Dream World Series matchups, and they say, okay, how about Yankees-Dodgers, obviously, with that star power. But I'm like, every single match to me I can sell. Like, the Tigers haven't won a World Series since '84. Like, to get them back in the mix would be amazing. The Guardians haven't won a World Series since 1948. Like, people think I'm crazy, but I go, Guardians, Brewers, if you're a baseball fan, it'll be a great World Series. I know it's not major markets, but, like, every single one of these teams makes for a compelling matchup. And I'm with you on Detroit and Comerica being rocking come October.
Yeah, any chance do you think the Padres have to win that division?
I thought you said the Padres win the World Series. I do, because their pitching's been ridiculous. Michael King, we're talking about a great pickup. You deal Soto, we get a guy back, 2.95 ERAs through 170 innings. He's been amazing for them. And they got Drew Thorpe back in that Soto trade. They then flipped him for Dylan Cease, who's unbelievable. You throw in Darvish, you throw in Musgrove, you got quality starters there. Machado's about to be another 30 home run, 100 RBI season in a down year. Fernando Tatis has now gotten hot. Merrill might be rookie of the year, although I'm now going Skeens.
Yeah, me too. I'm back on Skeens too.
Go, dude, he's a 1.99 ERA. Like, he's been unbelievable this year. Like, Merrill's 24 home runs, 90 RBI, absolutely played every day, excellent player. But I'm like, Skeens is like historic. I was not expecting a sub-2 ERA by a rookie. I mean, it's amazing. So
started the All-Star game too. Started the All-Star game.
But listen, by the way, Profar's had a great season. He leads the National League in on-base percentage. Think about that. Jurickson Profar in his 11th season, who's been a disappointment much of his career, first time also this year, leads the league in OBP. So I think the Padres, I don't know if they actually win the division, although last time was a hell of a finish. Triple play to end the game. They're now just 2 games back in Los Angeles.
It's poetic. And one guy you didn't mention that's also poetic, that there's a guy in their lineup who is doing things that only Tony Gwynn ever did, wearing a Padres uniform, right?
You're
unbelievable.
Right. I was looking at his numbers. The fact he went 141 plate appearances without striking out, that is mind-boggling in today's game. Like, that guy just always makes contact, and he's going to be a batting champion. I mean, 3 different teams to be a batting champion? That's unheard of.
Yeah, that's it. I think A.J. Preller finally nailed it. Over these last few years, he's mixing and matching, trying to get the scenarios right, trying to get the rotation right. I actually think you're right. That Michael King coming over, although Soto left, and it's been a great trade for both teams, Michael King has been the guy in that rotation. And when I was with him last year in New York, I remember thinking, this guy has some nasty stuff. And when they made that trade, I was like, that's going to work out well for the Padres.
1,000%. I'm glad you brought the Yankees, which we can now bring up our buddy Aaron Boone. So 5 years at ESPN.
2.5. 2.5.
So years ago, me and Boone are working together, and baseball today was scheduled for, I'm not kidding, 2:30 a.m. on a Saturday night after college football. So ESPN's schedule was noon college football, 3:30, 7, 10, 15. And so I said to Boone, he goes, what time are we on it? I said, 2:30. He said, oh, my God. I go, jeez. I'm like, yeah. And shockingly, somehow, the ratings were decent. Maybe everyone's just drunk and still up at 2 a.m. on the Saturday. I'm like, what happened in baseball today? So one time somebody asked Boone, what time? He goes, 2 and a hook. And the whole room's kind of confused. Okay. Later on, he goes, okay, 2 and a hook today. I go, what is he talking about? He goes, 2 and a hook. I go, what? And he goes, 2:30, 30, a hook, 12 and 6 curveball. It's a hook. I go, oh, okay, that's pretty good. So I've adopted it, and now I use it all the time. And one thing that's great about Case Chinch, this is very important. Most people in life, when they don't know something, they just nod and smile and go, okay. Case and I are friends, and he's smart. And he goes, I don't know what the hell he's saying. So he turns to me, he goes, what are you saying? I go, 2-0. He goes, what does that mean? And I explained to him, I go, it's actually an Aaron Booneism. It's 12, 30, 2-0. He goes, great. So I'm telling you, 90% of people now are using this all the time on MLB Network. Hey, we got the 2-0 today. They have no idea what I'm talking about. They have no idea it's an Aaron Booneism. Last year, Chris Roman, one on the hook. I'm like, yeah, hour and a
So
half.
great.
Get the hook.
That's so good. Now I'm like, I'm using it too. I'm like 2 and a hook. I think it's incredible. That's so great, man. It's so good. I told Booney, I talked to Booney the other day. I said, hey, just so you know, 2 and a hook, Adnan's using that all around. We're all starting to adopt it at MLB Network now. 2 and a hook. And I was telling Booney, because Booney's one for, the one day you were saying you did your the V files, yeah, and you were saying that Jose Ramirez is underrated. Booney, that's like a swear word to him. If you say Jose Ramirez is underrated, and he comes right after Adnan, it's great because they're great friends. He's like, tell Adnan, Jose, I'm so sick and tired. People saying he's underrated. Tell Adnan to take that out of his piece. And then the other night we were on it, and Adnan said, you said RBI. I get another text from Booney. Tell Adnan it's RBIs.
I'm like, don't you have better things to do? You're the manager of the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
You give a crap at that thing, RBI, not RBIs. It's crazy.
Dude, we had his brother on the other a couple of years ago, and he was filling in, doing a couple hits, and he looks up during a commercial break. He's like, "Ah, man, I'm screwing up," and we're like, "What are you talking about? What's happening?" He's like, "Aaron just texted me. He says I'm slouching too much." That's so crazy.
Dude, I did one MLB Central. So I go a couple months ago when the Yankees played the Mets at Citi Field. That morning I did MLB Central so I could go see the game. I did a really good breakdown on I can't remember maybe it was Judge. I did a really good breakdown on Judge to start the show. And later in the show, they're like, do you want to go over to the big screen and do another breakdown on Brian Reynolds? I'm like, all right, I'll do it on Brian Reynolds. So I get up there, I give a pretty good breakdown. It wasn't the Aaron Judge one to start the show, but it was like, it's pretty good one. So I go out that day to Yankee Stadium, Citi Field. I show up, haven't seen Booney in months, right? But I talked to him on the phone. So I walk up to him, what's up, brother? Give him a hug. He goes, bro, we mailed it in that Reynolds breakdown today. He goes, you mailed it in, bro. I go, what do you mean I mailed it in? He goes, yeah, it's just like you gave basic stats and you kind of was half-hearted. I go, dude, come on. I nailed the Judge one. I said, the Reynolds one was thrown in. He's like, hey, you mailed it in. I don't care what you say. You mailed it in. I was like, are you serious? Don't you have better things to do than to text me and Adnan and bury me when I see you about my breakdowns?
Bill Ripken did a whole thing about how catchers, with the 1 foot, the knee down, it doesn't work, blah, blah. And Booney's watching. He texts Deere. He goes, tell him he's wrong. And I asked Case goes, no, he's got the data that proves that he's right, the pitch framing stuff. It's hysterical moment. It's me, Case, and Harold Reynolds. And we're on MLB tonight. We're talking about pitch framing. And, of course, we love Austin Wells. He's the best. Case knows firsthand how great a guy he is. And Case is saying, listen, I'm not saying it's the gospel, but I've seen the data. It does work. Framing and stealing straight. It absolutely works. Case the system, he goes, 5 or 6 pitches a game, you can steal straight. Harold goes, how many pitches are in that game? 300? You're saying 5. Case goes, okay, fine. 20 pitches. I just said 5 or 6. You take it literally. Okay, 20 pitches. 20 pitches here. He goes, 20 pitches out of 300? And I thought the average, I go, that is a big deal. 20 pitches in a baseball game, if you steal strikes, that absolutely changes count. You're going 2-1 to 1-2 all over the place.
Yeah, and what if those 20 pitches are punching a guy out in a big situation? You just need 1 pitch. You just need 1 pitch to go your way. Steal 3 pitches, and they're for big pitches. They matter.
Harold was like, he goes, the umpire is not looking at the mitt. I go, I don't know. He literally gets still. He made Case be a catcher, and I'm the batter. And he said, look, look, the umpire's looking at the ball. He's not watching the catcher. I go, Harold, you're wrong. You're wrong. Pitch framing matters.
That's what makes Harold so great is how much he can enrage people with love and a smile on his face.
Right, you're wrong.
Oh, wait, you guys were in the hallway afterwards. Did one of you guys post? After the show.
Yeah, he wouldn't let it go. He's like, get down to the catchers. I'm in the hallway with Adnan. Just took my mic off. Adnan's got his jacket over his shoulder. Harold's like, show the pitch frame. And I'm like, what are we doing? We just did a 3-hour show. Why are we in the hallway? What's going on here, But Adnan, it's funny because I must admit, not being in the game, I kind of felt the same way. But then when I got in that clubhouse and in the dugout with those guys, and Tanner Swanson, I believe, is the best catching coach in the world. Seriously, I'm not kidding. And the Yankees hired him. This guy is the one that invented, the coming down to up, knee down, because you can steal the low strike. And then one day I said, bro, educate me. Show me that what you're talking about is right. He goes, here you go. And he brought these numbers out. I'm like, this is a great technique, bro. I was like, you have a new fan of the way the catchers catch nowadays, because Boone's right. The numbers don't lie with what they're doing, these guys in the big leagues, and how the catchers are catching nowadays.
You can be an old school player, of course. You played for 12 years. You're a 300 hitter. You raked in the World Series, but you can appreciate new data. That's my thing. Like in today's world, I don't understand why it has to be sabermetrics and analytics versus old school. Like, no, meld the two together. I believe the eye test, and I believe what the numbers say. That's how you win.
Yeah. Yeah. And I always say, too, if you want to be a good human being, be willing to have it wrong. It's okay. Times change, things change. It's okay to be willing to have it wrong. I mean, I think that's always a philosophy I've always lived by. I don't know.
I can totally picture him doing that. Like, don't you? Were you melting?
No, first thing he said to me. Bro, not like, hey, Case, how you doing? Great, so glad you came to the game. Have you talked to anyone else? Like, what's up, dude? You mailed it. And then Volpe comes over, and he's like, hey, what's up, Case? And then Boone's like, you see Case's Brian Reynolds breakdown? They totally mailed it in. I'm like, dude, are you serious? This is incredible.
This is incredible. He's texting me about RBI. Go manage the game. What's wrong with you?
I know. I'm like, you're managing important games with the Yankees. Don't text me about Adnan staying RBI. Who cares?
If the Yankees go all the way, dude, I would be so happy. Like, I'm telling people, and I go, honestly, you think if you're not a Yankees fan, you're conditioned to cheer against him. But that's how much we love Aaron Boone. That's what a great guy he is. And what he's been through, Case, I looked the other day, 600 wins. He's 7th most wins all time among Yankee managers. And people crap on him, don't give him the respect he deserves. He's a great communicator. He's a great baseball man. He knows the sport through and through. And I'm like you. I think the Yankees are going, I don't know all the way, but I think they got a great chance this year. And if they do it, dude, I'd be so happy, so proud of them.
Dude, one more thing, and Case and I talk about this every day. I'm a New Yorker. I live in New York, and I live and breathe, and I see the New York media. This guy, this year, has had to answer questions like the Yankees are sick, like the Yankees are the White Sox. They're like, what's going on? You're going to get fired this year. Cashman out. This team sucks. They're going to be one of the top two. Yeah, they're going to win a World Series probably. And he has to answer those.
And the thing about Case and Boone, that's the case. I'm like, both great guys, super nice guys, quality humans, but don't mistake my kindness. Like, don't walk all over me. Like, if you wrong Case, he's going to get you. And the same thing with Aaron Boone. Like, don't think just because he's a nice guy, he's a good dude. Dude, I never heard him curse once. I worked with him for 5 years. I never heard him one profanity. And all of a sudden he becomes a manager, and it's savages in the box. He's dropping F-bombs. Like, okay, this is an Aaron Boone I have not seen before. Are the USC Trojans playing or something? Like, man, my guy's fired up right now.
It's so true. And, it's funny because that is the truth. Away from the field, you do have that. Don't mistake my kindness for weakness, because I know Booney on both sides of the ball. And, like, when I was in the dugout with him and I was the hitting coach last year, I was like, this is the guy I know for 6 years in the dugout with the Reds, trying to win ball games, grinding, cares about those guys. There's no one that cares more in that clubhouse and the dugout than Booney does for those players. And they know it too. But Booney's the only manager that Judgy's ever had, right? I mean, it's so I hope so too, man. I really do hope that the Yankees, I just want to see Booney win one so that we can be like, okay, you're solidifying your legacy there in New York. If you win one, and then like Aaron Boone was a heck of a manager, because I think he's done a great job.
I couldn't agree more, man. Who knows? Maybe Buck Showalter's right. Subway Series, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. It would be amazing. Adnan, before you go, I have to ask you, dude, because I am the biggest wrestling fan. I don't know what my problem is. I become more of a wrestling fan as I get older. My kids, one of my biggest failures ever as one of my biggest failures ever as a parent was I couldn't sway. I have 4 kids. The only one that kind of is into it was my 14-year-old Jillian, my youngest one. I was like, I went hard after her because my boys are like, Dad, I think you're kind of a loser. My daughter obviously never going to do it. I'm like, listen, I don't care what you think. I still love wrestling. And you got a chance, dude, to go behind the curtain with WWE as their main announcer for a little bit there. Can you tell me about your experience? But tell me about what was it like working for Vince McMahon? Was he in your ear talking to you during the show? Is he a control freak like people said? You know, what was it like backstage? Were the wrestlers good people?
Was amazing.
Tell me about your WWE experience.
Saying to myself, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but it's going to be a really good chapter in my book. I just wish the chapter had been a little longer because it only ended up being 7 weeks. But it was a hell of an experience, man. It was Michael Cole first off, unbelievable. He brings me in, and I did the audition with Corey Graves. Speaking of Yinzers, proud Pittsburgh guy. He saw my pictures of PNC. He's like, "Where are you? I wish I could come see you." I think he was doing Raw or SmackDown. He was doing Raw that week. He's like, "Dude, next time you come back to Pittsburgh, I'm giving you the official tour of Pittsburgh." And he's unbelievable. Corey Graves is just an unbelievable announcer, dude. He's awesome. And Byron Saxton was with us as well, also an awesome dude. But yeah, Monday Night Raw, looking back at it, and you can appreciate this as an athlete, I think it would have helped. And I wouldn't have known this at the time. They didn't know this. If I could have had a few reps, right? I'd never called wrestling before. If they could have given me a week and say, all right, 8 hours a day, you, Corey, and Byron call matches, and Vince will critique it and give you feedback, that probably would have helped. Instead, they're like, nope, this is a sink or swim place. I never called wrestling in my life. I did a 5-minute audition. They gave me the job. Like, all right, Monday Night Raw, millions of people watching. Here we go. So, number one show, dude.
Number one show.
The fact they're a sink and swim kind of place, and I had fun with it. The wrestlers are incredible, dude. Like, I had such respect. Like, because I'm like you. I was just transfixed by what they were doing. Their athleticism, their craft, their work ethic. And, like, Drew McIntyre couldn't be more down to earth. Jinder Mahal's a great guy. Big E's a great dude. I just see them work on their moves, work on, like, choreographing things. It was amazing. And I had such respect for it. And Vince, I didn't meet during the audition process. I get the job. Haven't met Vince yet. First time calling the match. Yeah, crazy.
And Cole
gets in my ear at one point. He's like, hey, Vince is here. I'm like, oh, my God. And I'm like, it's like, you start hearing the Jaws music all of a sudden. I'm like, let's just get through this. And so after the first show, I didn't meet him. After the second show, because Vince wants to talk to you. And we go back there, and I'm like, oh, my God. Because like you, I'm just picturing Mr. McMahon. I'm picturing, all the stuff he's done in the ring, and I have respect for him. Yeah, and
right. You're fishing to walk.
The big thing is just make notes while he's talking. But he also doesn't like people that nod their heads. I go, okay. So he goes, so write notes, but don't be like, okay. Like, he doesn't, is anything you're not listening? I go, okay, fair enough. So just don't nod my head, but write. So, okay, yes, sir. That's what I'm going to do. Just, okay, make eye contact. Don't call Mr. McMahon because that's a character. Should I call him Vince? I don't know. Just, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, sir. It's like the military. But it was funny. As he was talking, he was giving me, like, very specific feedback. He was like, all right, don't do this next time. Try doing that a little bit. He sounded a little like Jack Buck, to be honest. While he was talking, I go, everybody said you sound like Jack Buck a little bit. That's a winner for the Cardinals. I'm like, okay, well, that's pretty awesome. All right. How about Kirby Puckett? He's giving me this feedback, and he gives me, like, I'm not kidding, 15 to 20 things he didn't like. He's being very polite, very calm. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And then he goes, but you're doing very well. And I go, well, it doesn't sound like it. He just gave me a whole But he was great, man. Great presence. He was dressed to the nines. Like, one thing with WWE, they take care of the clothing, man. I know our buddy Marty, who was the director, dressed great. Everyone can. Here's what you know.
Yeah.
MLB Network. You and I show up. T-shirt, jeans. You look like a disaster. If you want to give us change, you look like homeless people. WWE, the meeting, 1:00. All the dudes are wearing suits. Like I was like, okay. Like the writer is, the director is, the producers are. I'm like, everyone comes out full dress, ready to go. Notebooks, pen, attentive. Like they're not screwing around. Like the product may be funny and silly at times, but it is like a very serious business. They take it very seriously. The writers' meetings, the creativity, the passion they have. Like it's an incredible operation, dude. I wish I could have been there longer, but it's really cool.
Yeah. Are you when the matches go on? Like, obviously, you're 4:00 to walk through, and then they go on at 8:00 for 3 hours. Do you know what you're going to say, or are you really ad-libbing during the match? Like, how does that work? I always wondered how that works. I know the finish. You probably know the finish of where it's going to go.
No, but, it's a great question.
How does that work?
I thought it was all scripted because everyone says it's a scripted program. So it's literally I'm just reading words and reacting. But no, the only thing that is scripted is the finish. So if it's a 12-minute match, I'm calling it 12-minute. I've never called wrestling in my life. I'm calling 12 minutes of wrestling. And I don't know what they're going to do. The only thing I know is the finish. The only reason I know that is they'll say, who ends up winning, and then I would go ask that person, or I would at least know what their finishing move was. So let's say it says Rhea Ripley's going to win the match. I'd go find her backstage, as you said, 4:00, 5:00, like, hey, Riptide? Yep, Riptide. Okay. So really, to be honest, the moments that I nailed were those because I knew they were coming. The rest of it, I was kind of just fumbling my way through it. To be like a guy never calling baseball, so I'm calling a Yankee game. I'm like, okay, well, I think it's a sac fly. Not really sure. We'll figure this out. But those I was good. And my buddies who are wrestling fans like, dude, you were great on the finishers. I'm like, well, I knew because once I saw the look in their eyes, here comes a Riptide. It was great. So at the very least, I have the memories of those moments and those like classic things. And I can't remember what it was now. I'm trying to remember. Might have been like Braun Strowman. Somebody went through the table. That was a great moment too. They like oh my god, great!
Through your table, right?
To move. Yeah.
So do they say get out of the way? Do they say get out of the way? They're like, hey, here it comes. Do you know that's happening, or are you just like?
The table, and I was kind of like, oh, okay, very casually. And Byron and Graves are kind of like, okay, and I'm like. And then I swear, in the moment he was just in the ring, and Graves grabbed me. He's like, they're coming. Bam! He's going to break the table. He's going to break you. They don't care about you. This has to happen. It was intense, dude. It was an unbelievable experience.
It's so awesome, dude. That is so awesome. I only wish you stayed longer because I definitely would have been like, okay, I need seats right behind you. You need to get me seats right behind you.
I was only doing it for But you're right. If just once it could have done it.
That's right.
Like, oh my God, is that Sean Casey? Sean Casey's ringside here at Raw.
I just want one shout out for WWE. I just have to know before we go, what was Vince McMahon's biggest critique? Like, you remember, like,
don't try to do play by play. Because he goes, you're honest more like a host. And he goes, do you remember Johnny Carson? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, that was kind of a dated reference, but okay, we could have come to Jimmy Fallon or Letterman. You're going Carson like two generations. I'm like, okay, sure, Johnny Carson. I'm like, yeah, here's Johnny. And he goes, the key with him was he always made the guest look good. And this is an expression case. They must have used this expression. I've heard this expression more at WWE than I've heard it everywhere in my life. I don't think I've ever heard it anywhere else. This is the expression they always use. Put him over. Which for non-wrestling people mean make him look good. They used it. It was like me saying two and a hook. It was constant. Like, hey, make sure you put him over. Are you putting him over? Hey, is she going to get put over? Like, what are we talking about right now? I'm like, oh, put him over. Make him look good. Give him some love. Dap him up. Give him props. I'm like, okay, that's what you're saying. So Vince's main thing was like, make sure you put him over, meaning Corey and Byron. Kind of let them be the stars. So rather than you do straight play-by-play, I kind of just want you more just to like kind of, like give it, and he did that. I swear to God, he goes, and I go, you want me just to kind of like grunt and just okay, you want me to like sell it. And just kind of let them, because you don't know the intricacies of these wrestling moves. You haven't done it. So he goes, they'll know it better than you. And I was like, okay. And the main one, and this was an odd criticism in retrospect, 'cause I've never heard this ever before in my life. I want you to be more energetic. And I'm like, me? I'm Mr. Energetic.
What? Adnan Virk more energetic?
Virk more energetic.
This is the way. So I was like, here we go, coming to you from Monday Night Raw. I'm like, I am just off the chart. Chris Collins, our buddy, was watching. He was, holy crap. Somebody put the fear of God in Adnan because he is off the charts right now.
That's so great, dude. Thank you. Those are incredible stories, man. Those are incredible stories. Well, dude.
Yeah.
Adnan, where can our fans find you?
NHL Network. And you got a new gig now on Amazon, so we fly back to Canada doing some games, which is great. So originally I thought it was going to be a studio in Toronto, and I said, awesome, I'll go see my parents. They still live in Toronto, have Sunday dinner with them, go to the game, but we're actually doing it from site. So 5 trips to Toronto, which is great, 5 trips to Montreal, one of my favorite cities, 1 trip to Edmonton, I've never been, that's going to be in December, and get ready for this, 4 trips to Winnipeg, including 1 in February. I have no idea what I'm in for, but think about this, the flight alone, Newark to Minnesota, Minnesota to Winnipeg, Manitoba. I don't know how we're going to survive.
Oh, dude, you might not get there. You might not get there.
Yeah.
Wait, but who's your analyst, Adnan? Tell people who your analyst is.
He's going to be with me the first 2 games in Montreal, in Toronto. He's going to be doing some other stuff with the Amazon. He's also on ESPN. Again, Chinch knows he's a diehard Rangers fan. Like, dude, I can't believe I'm going to be with Mark Messier. It's unbelievable.
That's incredible. Adnan, dude, you live a great life, bro. You live a great life, man. You've done some incredible things. You're one of the best in the business. You're a dear friend, dude. We appreciate your time today, brother, and we hope to do this again with you. And I'll see you up at the network here probably in the next week or 2.
Come back this way. Avoid the Bears to drive it. Love you both, and most importantly, love what you're doing on the podcast. Seriously, you guys have such a passion for it. Great guests, passionate, funny, entertaining. Keep it going, man. I'm proud of both of you guys. Love you.